continue the conversation, bring in two more experts. J.D. Foster, a senior fellow at the Conservative Heritage Foundation, previously serving as Associate Director for Economic Policy at the White House OMB Office of Management and Budget, and Henry Aaron, a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, currently part of a panel of economic advisors for the Congressional Budget Office. Gentlemen, thanks so much. Before we start this brief conversation, just want to let you know, if you hear something that you disagree with, feel free to jump in. Just look at this as a conversation we're having tonight at dinner, okay? All right, I just want to first ask Henry, because I was reading a paper you recently wrote, First, Do No Fiscal Harm. Henry, you say the argument that these tax cuts should be extended is incoherent. Talked a lot about tax cuts in this address from the president. Why is it incoherent?
What I argued was incoherent was the Republican opposition to the administration's policy. They are arguing simultaneously that the the fiscal stimulus bill didn't work, that the deficit is too large, but that we have to cut taxes more for upper-income Americans. That just doesn't add up.
Got it.
Every dollar you save from letting the tax cuts on upper-income Americans expire that you apply to fiscal stimulus in the form of infrastructure is more fiscal stimulus for the economy rather than less.
Henry, it's a brief dinner. We're having a brief dinner conversation. I want to bring in J.D. Foster. And J.D., get your thoughts on what we just heard and also your thoughts on the president's address.
Well, the president's address was purely political. There was almost no economic substance, as your commentator noted earlier. He talked about the construction spending. We probably do need infrastructure spending in this country, but this is not stimulus. $50 billion over 6 years is not going to stimulate anything other than construction union employment. As to Henry's comments, in a sense, he's right. There's no coherence to it because he's misdefining a term. Nobody's talking about tax cuts. Unfortunately, we're in a situation now where we've spent so much money, we can't talk about tax cuts. What we're talking about is whether or not we're going to have a massive tax increase or a big tax increase.
J.D.,
those are the choices the president lays out for us.
If you can believe it's more like an appetizer rather than a dinner. J.D. Foster and Henry Aaron, thanks so much for staying with us, watching this speech along with us. Always appreciate your expertise.